Hi violin community, it's Mike here and I'm back with another video, and today it's another folk related video. So what I thought I'd do is I'd pick out some great albums by folk bands, and there are 10 altogether, 10 different bands. Some you may have heard of or probably would have heard of, and some that you may not have done. So we'll start off with probably the most famous folk rock band of all time, and that of course is Fairport Convention. And this is an album from 1975. You can see it's called Rising from the Moon. And I think it's their 10th album. And they brought Glyn Johns in to produce this album. And it's got a much more sort of pop influence feel to it than some of their previous stuff. And as usual, it's on the Island label. So there you go, there's the Island label with the pink rim. And I'll show you the inner as well, because that's it's got words on and little pictures of the band there. So at this point, there was a sort of what you might call the rump of Fairport Convention, 3 Daves. So there was Dave Pegg, Dave Swarbrick and Dave Mattox. And they were joined by members of Fotheringay. So Sandy Denny was back, Jerry Donahue and Trevor Lucas. And about halfway through the sessions recording this album, Dave Mattox actually left the band. So they brought in Bruce Rowland to do the drumming to finish the album off. So there's a picture of the band there. And they're all sort of self-compositions. There's no traditional tracks on here. Quite a few Sandy Denny tracks. Rising for the Moon, the title track is Sandy Denny. And the final track on the album, One More Chance, which is a really, really nice Sandy Denny track. But there's tracks by sort of other people, Zion Line, which is a Trevor Lucas track, Nighttime Girl, which is Dave Swarbrick and Dave Pegg, White Dress, another Dave Swarbrick, and then Let It Go, which is a really nice track on the album. And that was Sandy Denny, Dave Swarbrick and Dave Pegg. And it's a really nice album all round, and it's not my absolute favourite, but certainly one of my favourites, an album that I do play on quite a regular basis. So that's from 1975, Rising for the Moon and Fairport Convention. So right, the next band you may not have heard of, and it's the brilliant folk rock band Hedgehog Pie, and they are from Hebburn. Heburn's in the northeast of England, sort of Newcastle on Tyne way. And this album was also 1975, and I'll show you the label. It's on a small sort of folk label called, if I can actually get it out of the sleeve, there you go, on Rubber Records, a very small label indeed. And this was an album that was produced by Rick Kemp, and Rick Kemp is probably best known as being a long-time member of Steel Eye Span. And there's quite a bit of Steel Eye Span actually in this album, I think. So if you like them, you like Hedgehog Pie. So it's sort of Margie and Stu Luckley, Jed Grimes, Martin Jenkins, and Michael Doonan are the members of the band. And quite honestly, I think Margie Luckley's vocals are very, very reminiscent of Maddie Pryor here. And then you've got Michael Doonan, who plays the flute. So you've got sort of hints of Jethro Tull in there as well. And as I say, it's a really, really sort of nice sort of album. And so you've got the Reverend Johnson and the Big Kerry. That's first track, which is really nice. There's a song called Fishing Song on here, and what it actually is, it's a song. It's a traditional Scottish tune, and the words were composed by Ewan McCall, and the song appears as Fisherman's Wife on Steel Eye Span's debut album, and in that case, I think that was sung by Gay Woods with backing vocals from Maddie Pryor. And another track on here, you've got Jack Orion, which is an absolutely magnificent track. It's been sung by all sorts of bands. It's a folk standard. But there you go. So this is Hedgehog Pie. Absolutely brilliant stuff. And you know, if you want to know what hedgehog pie tastes like, I'll leave a link to a recipe in the description if I remember. Right, next one up. Another band. This is from 1971, and it's a band called Magna Carta. And it's songs from Oyster's Orchard, as you can see, and there's a band there, and there's some quite interesting people involved in this. I mean, it's a band. You know, the mainstay of the band was David Johnston. David Johnston, of course, is best known as being the guitarist in sort of Elton John's band back particularly in the early 70s. And the album was actually produced by Gus Dudgeon, who produced quite a lot of Elton John stuff as well. And I think there's even people like Rick Wakeman guests on this as well. You know, does a bit of session work on this album. The compositions on here are mostly done by a member of the band who's Chris Simpson, and so there we go. There's the album. It sort of opens up into sort of a big sort of like box of apples there from the orchard, and yeah, the Bridge at Knaresborough Town is a really nice track. And there's another track on here called Parliament Hill, and I'll show you I will show you the label, but you know, don't get too excited, folks, because I know some of you get really excited whenever you see this. Yes, it's Vertigo, and it's Vertigo Swirl, and people get really excited about this, don't they? Sometimes. Hey, look, Dave, it's a Vertigo Swirl. Yeah. So anyway, this album, of course, being on Vertigo, is worth four figures. I think it was 1999. You know, so yeah, it's a lovely folk album, and I'm really pleased to have it. So that's Magna Carta, and songs from Oyster's Orchard. Right, next up, yeah, a bit of psychedelic weirdness from a band that a lot of you know, and I think a lot of you love, and that's the incredible string band. And of course, this is Robin Williamson and Mike Heron. There they are. And this is their album from 1968. It's called Wee Town, and it's really weird because you know, it opens up on the wrong side. Really, imagine that's the front and that's the back, but it's the wrong way around. But nevertheless, it's a lovely album. It's on the Elektra label, as you can see, with the butterfly, and yeah, it's a really nice sort of weird psychedelic album, as you'd imagine. I mean, you know, just looking at some of the lyrics on here, Job's Tears, which is the first track on side one, and the lyrics go, "The moon was bleeding, and stars were shallow, and the sword that killed him was a sword of willow. Hello, I must be going. Well, I only came to say, I hear my mother calling, and I must be on my way." So, you know, juxtaposing those lyrics, I think, is a work of absolute genius. And there you go. So that's lovely sort of bit of folk psych from the incredible string band. Right, another quite sort of psyche band, and these albums, if you can find originals and you've got plenty of money, they're really sought after. But this is a reissue from a couple of years back on the Earth label, and it's a debut from the Brilliant Trees, and it's the Garden of James Lorney. And again, it was originally issued in 1970. It's psychedelic folk. So you've got Celia Humphreys, brilliant vocals, Barry Clark, Daniel Costel, then you've got Blas Bashel, and I can't think who's the other guy. Anyway, it will come to me. It will come to me. And this is a really nice album. As I say, it's a reissue. Came with a little postcard there of the band. There they are. And again, as I say, it's on the Earth label. And yeah, tracks on here. Nothing Special is a really nice track. And then there's a track called Lady Margaret, which again is a track that Fairport Convention have done, and it's called Matty Groves when Fairport do it. But I think it's better titled Lady Margaret because, you know, Matty isn't really the protagonist of the song. Matty Groves is a sort of hapless sort of victim of all of this. You know, it's Lady Margaret who instigates the illicit love affair. So I think it's best that it's called, you know, Lady Margaret rather than Matty Groves. But that's a lovely album. You know, that they had 2 studio albums, and there was also an album of sessions from the BBC, etc. That it's really worth picking up if you can. Right, Griffin. This is a proggy, psyche band, and Griffin. This album from Griffin is from 1974. As you can see, it's called Midnight Mushrooms, and you know, they describe themselves as you know, folk prog and hardcore medieval folk, and whatever that means. And you know, they play all sorts of instruments on here. You've got the cromhorn. They play the harmonium. They play a toy piano. They play the glockenspiel, and yeah, as long as along with sort of more conventional instruments like drums and guitars. You know, but this is a really nice album. So the whole of side 1 is taken up by the title track Midnight Mushrooms, and it's brilliant. It's 18 or 19 minutes, and it's very folky, very proggy, and I absolutely love it. And then you've got side 2, more sort of manageable sort of length of songs, and you've got The Ploughboy's Dream, The Last of the Gabardine Tailor, Golland Rock, Double Dutch with spelled D-U-B-B-E-R, and Ethelon, and it's a really nice album if you can find it. So that's Griffin and Midnight Mushrooms. Right, now this album's from the 80s, from 1986, and I think it's a third album. Yes, it's definitely the third album from this band, and these people are they came out of the Albion band, sort of Rise Up Like the Sun sort of era. So that would be sort of you know, early 80s. And the band was formed in 1981, and it's Home Service. And this album's from 1986. As I say, it's a third album called All Right Jack. So you've got John Tams, who's the singer and the main songwriter here. Graham Taylor on guitar. Michael Gregory on drums, and there's also a little bit of brass in here, and I think that's what they wanted to do. They wanted to experiment with sort of brass. So they brought in Howard Evans, who also has been the band Brass Monkey, which I'm not going to show today. But this is really good, and the title track "All Right Jack" is really good. But at the end, there's a medley. And it's called a Lincolnshire Posy, and it's really good. So you've got Dublin Bay, Hawksdale Grange, Rufford Park Poachers, which again is pretty much a folk standard. Risk Young Sailor, Lord Melbourne, and The Lost Lady Found. But it's a really nice album, and there's a scarecrow there, as you can see in the field, and there's a track on here called Scarecrow as well. So. I'll show you the label. I think it's on Cooking Vinyl. No, it's not on Cooking Vinyl. It's on Making Waves label. So there you go. So that's you know, a band associated with the Albion band, and that's these guys, Home Service and All Right Jack. Right, another band that's been about for you know, donkey's years now. I think they formed in the early 1980s, I think, and this is their second album, and it's Oyster Band. So sometimes they're called Oyster Band, just as one single word. Sometimes it's Oyster Band, and sometimes it's the Oyster Cayley Band. But it's all the same. You know, the main people are in here, and this is called uh, English Rock and Roll: The Early Years, 1800 to 1850. And there you go. So we're going way back here, and they bring in Kathy LaSurf, who has been in the Albion band, and also Fiddler's Dram, and they had a not very good sort of hit single back in the 70s. Did Fiddler's Dram, but I won't hold that against her. And she's been brought in to do this, you know, do quite a few of the vocals on here. But you've got the mainstays of the Oyster band, John James, who does vocals and the melodeon, Ian Keary, who's a bass player, Alan Prosser, who plays the guitar, Chris Taylor, also a guitarist, and Ian Telfer, who is a violinist. And yeah, it's a really, you know, really quite good folk album. You know, there's a few sort of jigs and reels in here, and I always like to hear Kathy LaSurf's vocals. And it's on a label called, I'll show you, there you go, called Pucker Records, another fairly small folk label. Right, now this one is an album I bought out of curiosity quite a few years back, and it's from 2008, and it's the band is called The Owl Service, and the album, as you can see, is called A Garlander's Song. And, there you go, that's the band there, and the you know, rather nice sort of artwork there. And the Owl Service, they're named after a young adult fantasy novel from 1967 of the same name by a guy called Alan Garner. And I can remember, never read the book, but I can remember in about 1969, 1970, there was a serialization on the TV of the Owl Service, and I can remember watching it. I think it used to be on a Sunday afternoon. And so, because I remember that, I thought, well, yeah, let's see what this is like. Now, the mainstay of the band is a guy called Stephen Collins, and you know, it's his project. But you've got vocals from ladies called Diane Collier and Kate Waterfield. And again, it's very, very psychedelic. It's very very weird and wonderful. It's a really, really lovely listen, this album, and I'd say I love the cover. And yes, it was a blind buy because I recognised the Owl Service, and they go, those are the labels. I think that's the best side of the label, the weird sort of icon. So that's that. So right, that's nine bands. So one left. So another of the greats, and this is an album from 1970, and it's Pentangle, and it's Cruel Sister, and I really do need to get another copy of this because particularly side one, there's a few sort of irritating clicks and pops that I don't really want to listen to. You know, I don't mind if an album's not absolutely perfect, but this one's getting a bit past it, I think. So of course, you know, the main singer in Pentangle is Jackie McShay, but you know, you've also got, you know, the great Bert Jansch and John Remble in here, and you've got Terry Cox on the drums, and Danny Thompson plays the bass, and I'll show you. It's on the Transatlantic label, and the Transatlantic label is another really good sort of folk label from late 60s, early 70s. Lots and lots of great records are recorded on that label. So, you know, what have you got on here? So, you know, we've got A Maid That's Deep in Love, When I Was in My Prime, which is good. Then you've got Lord Franklin, which is, I'll show you that's the lyrics there. Lord Franklin, which is a great track, and then you've got Cruel Sister, and side two of the album, you've got Jack Orion, and that's a really you know big song, you know, for big folk song. It's astounding, as I mentioned earlier on, and yeah. So Pentangle, absolutely brilliant, and of course, you know, any band that's got Bert Jansch and John Randall, they've got to be good, haven't they? So anyway, so that's my my 10 folk bands that I've chosen to show you today. You know, I hope you like it, and till next time, I'll see you. Bye bye.